G'day, this is Mr. Thompson, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build this, or how to design this key tag in Inventor. Now this is a great little first project for using Inventor for 3D printing. So let's get started. I'll just close that. That was my practice one, and we'll build that from scratch. All right, the first thing you should know about Inventor is you should create a project. You might see here when I open Inventor, I've got a bunch of projects that I've worked on in the past. And a project is a folder that stores all your files for that particular project. So it's very useful in organizing your files. So let's create a project folder. So if I go File and Manage Projects, now I've got a whole bunch of projects here already. If you've just started using Inventor, you won't have any projects. But what you can do is you can create a project by clicking on New and just go with the defaults there. Give your project a name. So the project that I'm using is this one here that I've already created called 3D Printing Practice, but you could type in the name of your project and it will create a project file here, and you can see where it's actually storing it. So if you don't like that location, you can browse and click a different location. But when you click Finish here, it will say, it'll ask you to create that particular folder. So you can just go OK, and you can create yourself a project file. And once you've create a project folder. Once you've created your project, it'll be in this list here. So that's the one I'm using. So if I go Done here, when you've created a folder, the most recent ones, there's all the folders there that I've been working on. So I'm working in this folder here, 3D Printing Practice. Okay, so what you're going to do, having created your folder, your project, you're going to go File, New. Now, don't use these options over here. If you do that, you'll be working in inches and feet and things like that. Being in Australia, we're going to work in metric. So I'm going to click on this New over here, and then you might find it comes up like that, and you might have to open that little twisty there and find metric. And under metric, you can create a new part, an assembly, or a drawing. So when you're creating parts for 3D printing, the part is the option you want. And we're going to use a standard part using millimeters as our dimensions. So standard millimeter part, we can double click on that, or we can create. And here's our blank part. So nothing there yet. Let's save it before we do anything. So click on Save up here and give it a name. So I'll call this key tag. You can see I've already got one that I've been practicing on, but this is a new one. So key tag, save. All right, now most parts start life as a 2D sketch, and then we turn them into 3D. So I'm going to come over here under 3D model. I'm going to click Start 2D Sketch, and it asks me which plane do I want to create that sketch on. I'm going to choose the was that the XZ? I can't see there. XZ plane. Anyway, that flat plane there. I'm going to choose that flat plane. So I'm going to click on that. And the first thing I'm going to do is create a rectangle. Now there's different ways to draw a rectangle. If you click on the arrow there, I'm going to choose this 2-point center rectangle. That means I get to choose where the center of the rectangle goes, and I get to choose where one of the corners goes, and it uses that information to draw the rectangle. So I'll click here in the center, and you'll see when I get near the center, my cursor sort of snaps to the center. So clicking on the center, click once and release, and then coming out here, and again I'll click and release, and there is my rectangle. Now you saw it gave me options to put dimensions in. I didn't do that. I just clicked with my mouse to make it look about right. Now I'm going to press Escape. And now I want to dimension it. See how it's purple? It's purple because being purple means that we've drawn the shape, but we haven't constrained the object yet. So we haven't given it all the information about exactly where the lines need to go. So we're going to dimension. So I'm going to click Dimension here, and I'm going to click this length here and release, and then move my mouse up here, and I'm going to place that dimension there. So at the moment, That's 29 millimeters. That's not very big. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, 40 millimeters. Let's do 40 millimeters, and I'll click that tick box there. And so now it's that length there is 40 millimeters. And if I click on this one here and come out, and I'll go, I'm thinking maybe 25 millimeters, and I'll click OK. All right, so now, can you see now that rectangle's gone black? So black means it's fully constrained. I've given those dimensions, so Inventor now knows exactly how to draw that to the right dimensions. All right, now I want to make a sort of a circular part over here. So I'm going to click circle, like that, and I'm going to click on the midpoint, so it'll snap there on the midpoint there. So I click there for the center, click and release, and then I'm going to move my mouse. Now actually if I move my mouse to here, this corner here, it snaps, and I'll click and release there, and there we go. So I've got my rectangle base and I've got my circle. That's the shape that I want. That'll do for now. So I'm going to finish the sketch, and I'm going to go back to that sort of 3D mode. Now that's a two-dimensional sketch. I want to convert that two-dimensional sketch into a three-dimensional object. The way I do that is a thing called extruding. So extrude takes that 2D sketch and makes it into 3D. So if I click on extrude, now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select the parts of the sketch. You can see I can select various parts of the sketch that I want to extrude. So I'm going to start over here, and you can see it's made it into a 3D object. I'll click here as well, and I'll click here. So that whole sketch that I drew there, all of the parts of that sketch have now been extruded. Now it's not finished yet until I click OK. It's not finished. Now it's 10 millimeters high. That's too high. I want 3 millimeters. So I can either change it there or I can change it there. Doesn't matter. Let's change it here. 3 millimeters. That's better. Okay. We're done. Okay. So that's created the base. Now over here on my model or my part tree, I can see that's the extrusion that I just created. And if I click on the plus, that's the sketch that the extrusion was based on. So you can see by looking at the tree, you can see the steps that someone used to build an object. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close that. I'm going to click once on the word extrusion 1, then click again. So it's not a double click, it's one click and then another slow click. And I'm going to name it. I'm going to call that the base. That's the base for my key tag, and press enter. And if I name these extrusions, because I'm going to have a few different extrusions there, when I name them, it just makes it less confusing, so I can easily find the parts if I want to go and modify them or edit them later on. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I want to create a rim around the edge, like a border. So I'm going to start another 2D sketch, and this time I'm going to put my sketch on top of that base that I created. So I'm going to click on this face here. All right, now actually let me just show you a few things. These tools over here are pretty useful. See this hand tool? This hand tool, if I click on the hand tool, that's useful for moving my object around. Yeah, so maybe if I wanted to zoom in on this area over here, I could move that like that, and then I could use my the wheel mouse. So the wheel on my mouse, I could move that to zoom in or out like that, and then drag and move a bit more. If you're not using a mouse, if you're using a laptop, you can sort of pinch, so pinch together or pinch apart on your mouse, on your, what do you call it, a mouse pad thingy on your laptop, and that will zoom. All right, to get out of that hand mode, I click on the hand button again. This button here is also very, very useful. So this is zoom all. If I click zoom all, then it zooms so that I can see my whole shape. So if perhaps, just say I was zoomed in and I want to zoom back out again, if I click zoom all, it fits it to the whole screen. So that's a really useful button. All right, I'll talk about the other ones later. All right, so what I want to do is I want that rim around the edge. So to draw the rim around the edge, the first thing I'm going to do is, well, let me explain. This line around the outside, that's not actually in my sketch. That's the shape that I'm building the sketch on. Now I want that shape to be in my sketch because I want that to be the very edge of my rim. So I need to do this function here, which is project geometry. So if I click on that, and then I click on my object, when I come back out again, see how those edges went yellow? That means now that edge of that shape that I've put my sketch on, that has been projected into my sketch. So now my sketch actually contains those yellow lines. And that's important because the next thing I want to do is I want to do an offset. So I'm going to come here and click on offset, like that. And I want to click on that line, that's the yellow line that's in my sketch, and I can now do an offset. So I'm just going to click here like that. Now I'm going to dimension it. So if I click on dimension, I'm going to click between here and here, and I'm going to make that, if I click here, at the moment it's 2.863 something millimeters. I just want it to be 2 millimeters. So I'm going to type 2 and OK. And now it's made that offset to be 2 millimeters from that outside line the whole way around. Okay, that's good. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to put a little bit of a rim here, or for my that's where my keyhole's going to go. Is that what you call it, a keyhole? I don't know. The hole that you put your keyring in. All right, so I'm going to click on circle, and I'm going to click somewhere here. So and I'm going to on that center line, I'm going to click, and I'm going to expand that circle like that. So what have I got? About 8 millimeters or so. Now, I could have actually typed the dimension in there, but I didn't. I just clicked. I'm going to add the dimension now. So if I click on dimension and I click on this circle, I want that dimension of that circle to be, oh, I don't know, 7 millimeters, like that. Okay, good. Now that circle's still purple, which means it's not constrained. So if I actually, let's just escape so that I'm not dimensioning anymore. If I grab that circle by the center, I can move that circle around because it's not constrained. So I'm going to constrain it. What I'm going to do, let me just do this. I'll click on dimension, and I'm going to click on, I'm thinking between that center there and that center there, that distance there, I'm thinking if I make that about 8 millimeters, that looks about right. Okay. Now it's still purple, and the reason it's purple is because it's constrained backwards and forwards that way, and its dimension is constrained. But if I hit escape and I grab it by the center, you can see I can still move it up and down like that. Okay, which I don't want that. What I want to do is I want to line up that point there with that point there, so that it's constrained. So I'm going to use this horizontal constraint. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click there like that. Oh, now it doesn't like that. Sometimes it's easy to mix up this horizontal and this vertical constraint, and it's hard to tell which one it really wants. So if one doesn't work, we try the other one. So I'm going to click on this one now, vertical constraint, and if I click here and here, there we go, that's done it. Now, I'm not sure actually why Inventor does that. It seems a bit strange because to me that looks like a horizontal constraint, but horizontal constraint didn't work, but vertical constraint did. So I just used the one that works. All right, now I press escape. Okay, so that's enough for my rim. So that whole area there around the edge and that circle there, I'm going to extrude those. So I'll finish the sketch like that, and I'm going to come back to extrude, and I'm going to now select the bits that I want to extrude. Actually, now before I show you any more, before I do that, this cube here is useful. See this cube here? If I click on home, it takes me back to my home view, and if I drag my cube around like that, I can change the view of my 3D object. So I'm just going to go back to home like that, Now I want to zoom in a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover my mouse over here, and I'm going to then use my mouse wheel to zoom in a little bit because I need to be able to select those areas. Okay, so I clicked extrude. Actually, just in case you haven't already done that, that's what I did. I clicked on extrude like that. And then now I need to select those faces that I want to extrude. I want to extrude that, and that, and that. And let's zoom back out again. So I'm going to use zoom all so I can see. All right, now it's a 3mm extrude. I'm thinking I don't need 3mm. I'm going to use 1mm. That's enough for me. Okay, a 1mm extrude. So, and you can see, yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'll go okay. And we're on the way. Now, I want to put a hole in here for my keyring. So I'm going to start another 2D sketch on this surface, like that. And, oh, that's gone out of view, so I'm going to zoom all, like that. Now I'm going to use circle, and I'm going to put the circle here. I'll put it on that center point there, and I'm going to make it 3. So, you know what, I could click in dimension, or I could just, before I do that second click, I can just type 3, like that, and then press enter, and it's done 3. Now, okay, that's perfect. It's already automatically, because I put my center in the middle of that circle there, it's already black, it's already fully constrained. So that's great, that's all I need to do. Finish the sketch, come back to extrude. Now, this is interesting. That extrude, if I zoom in, you can see that extrude is coming up. I don't want to add more plastic, I want to cut a hole. So by default, your extrude does this. Have a look over here in the extrude dialog box here. The extrude does a join. It actually adds, hang on, let me just open that up a bit. Yeah, down here, it does a join. So that joins more plastic on. There's another option here that says cut. Now, I'm not actually going to click that. I'm going to come up here. And when I click on, see, that's the direction. So at the moment it's extruding up. If I extrude down, if I flip that direction by clicking there, can you see now that's automatically changed it into a cut? Now, instead of adding plastic, it's cutting plastic away. Now, that's only 1mm deep. I need it to be, well, I could actually type 4mm to make it go through this 1mm and then another 3mm, and that would work. But here's a better way. If I come and click this, this is about the distance of the extrusion. I can cut this. Here says to extrude through all the layers. So through all, I'm going to click that. Now my hole goes through everything. So when I click OK now, if I zoom all again, zoom out, and I drag around, can you see that hole now goes all the way through? And in fact, if you're not sure if it goes all the way through, you can look on the back. There's the back of the hole there. So that's worked nicely. All right, so I'll click back on home. Okay, now we're going to put some text on. Now, text is a little bit complicated. To do text, what you need to do is you need to put a plane above the surface that you need to put the text on, and then you need to emboss that text into the surface. So that sounds a bit complicated, but I'll show you step by step. So I'm going to come up here to plane, and I'm going to do offset from plane. All right. Now this is the surface that I want to put my text on. So I'm going to click on that and see it's created a plane, but it's put a plane on the surface. I want to put my plane above the surface. So I'm going to go, I don't know, let's go 2mm above the plane, above the surface. So now if I drag this around, can you see now that plane is sitting, if I click there, yeah, that plane is sitting just above the surface that I want to put the text on. Okay, now I'm going to start a 2D sketch, and I'm going to put that sketch on that plane that I just created, like that, and I'm going to use the text tool. So I click on the text tool, and then I'm going to, I don't know, I'll draw a box like that. Yeah, and then I'm going to type, well, let's do Mr. T. Now you can't do, on a small keytag, you can't do really complex text, so because it'll be too fiddly for the 3D printer to print. So you want something with only a few letters. So maybe your initials, or if you've got a short name, I don't know, like Tom or something like that, then you could, or Jim, you could do that. Or if you've got a nickname, like, I don't know, Ewok, for example, you could do that. So if I click OK now, all right, now we can see a couple of problems here. Firstly, that's really small. And secondly, it's tilted sideways. So what do we fix first? Let's rotate it first. So I'm going to click on rotate. So click rotate. Now there's two things I need to select when I'm rotating. I need to select the actual object that I'm rotating, and I need to choose the center point. So let's select the object. The object that I'm rotating is my text. So I'm going to click there on the text. And the center point, actually it doesn't matter for this in this instance. So I'm going to click on that select button there for that center point select button. Then I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to click on anywhere on the text. Not on the box on the outside, but anywhere on the text. So click there, and now you can see it's given me a handle and it allows me to rotate. So I'm going to rotate, and in fact, you can see over here the degrees. So I'm going to rotate so it's 90 degrees exactly, like that. There we go. Okay, and we're making progress now. So done, I'm going to close that. Now, I want to move this. So I'm going to grab that text and I'm going to move it across here. And you know what? That box is now too big. So I'm just going to drag that box and make it a bit, well, actually I'm going to change the size of the box to about there. Okay. All right, because if the box is too small, it'll wrap the text. I'll show you that in a minute. All right, so now I'm going to double click on the text because I want to make it bigger. To make it bigger, I've got to first select all the text that I want to make bigger, and then I've got to change the size. You know what? I'm going to try about 12 millimeters and see if that works. So if I go OK, that's pretty good. And you know what else I can do? I'm going to double click again. It's 12 millimeters. I'm also going to change the font. Now I know everybody hates Comic Sans, but I sort of like it. So don't judge me. Where's Comic Sans? There it is, Comic Sans MS. So click OK. I sort of like that. In fact, one more thing I'm going to do, double click again, select it all again. I'm going to make it bold as well, just to make it a little bit thicker. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So just center it, just going to move it so it's exactly where I want it. All right, now I'm ready to finish that sketch, and I'm ready to put that sketch into my surface. So finish like that. So at the moment, if we printed that, that would just print the blank. It wouldn't put the text because the text so far isn't embossed into the surface. So I need to use this emboss tool. So I'll click on emboss like that, and what profile? I want to click on the profile is the text that I want to emboss. So I click on that text like that. Okay, now I've got some options here. I can make that raised up from the face, or I can make it engraved into the face. I'm not even going to go there and do that one. And there are two directions here. So you can see this one here is up. So that's incorrect. So see that little green arrow? That's saying it's going to try to emboss that text on a surface above the plane. But my surface is not above the plane. My surface is below the plane. So I need to change the direction so that that arrow is pointing down, because the surface that I want to emboss the text into is the one that's under the plane. Okay, so which one will I use? Let's try this one that lifts, that raises the text. Now the depth is 1 millimeter. I'm going to leave that as 1 millimeter. So you can do whatever depth you want. I've made the height of that rim 1 millimeter, so it makes sense to me to also have my text 1 millimeter high. So I click OK there, and there we go. Now, not quite finished. There's a few things I need to fix up. Firstly, let's come over here. That plane, that plane's sort of ugly, isn't it? That plane's actually, I don't want to see that. So I'm going to come over here to that work plane there, and I'm going to right click and remove the visibility, turn the visibility off. So the plane's still there, yeah, because I used it to put my text on, but now it's invisible, so that's good. All right. Other things I'm going to do, that was my rim, but I haven't named it yet. So let's click once and click again, not a double click, but 2 slow clicks, and then type RIM, that's my rim. And this here, well, let's see, what's that extrusion? That's my hole. So I'm going to click once and click again. So that's my hole. Yeah. And let's see, what else have I got? That's my emboss. So let's give that a name too. I'm going to call that that's my text. Okay, so now when I look at my tree, I can really easily see what's what. So if I wanted to go and edit, maybe if I wanted to edit the base, I could open up the sketch that's under the base and I could edit that and make some changes if I wanted to. But if it's all named, it's easier to do that. Okay, what else do we need to do? Oh, let's put some fillets in. So these sharp corners, I reckon we can do better than that. We can do some fillets. So let's do some fillets. So I'm going to click on fillet there. And let's see, 2 millimeters. So I can put a fillet there like that. So at the moment that's 2 millimeters. I could make that, I don't know, 5 millimeters if I wanted to, or 1 millimeter. You know what? I think for this one, 1 millimeter is probably not a bad. Let's just have a look. If I do that and zoom all, yeah, I reckon 1 millimeter is not bad for this, or 2. 2 is pretty good too. Well, let's run with 2. Okay, let's run with 2. So there we go. So I'll do that. While I'm at it, I'll do those. I'll do those back together. Okay. Now let's do these inside ones here. Let's zoom in and do another fillet. It's remembered the 2 from when I did it before. So 1 there, and zoom out and rotate a bit so that I can see that one there. Now let's zoom in, that one there. Okay, so those 2 fillets are done. And you know what? It would be nice to fillet these ones here. Let's zoom in a little bit there. So fillet that one. Yeah, that looks better. So no sharp edges. Let's zoom out again and scroll that around so I can see. Zoom in. That one there. Okay. Okay. And let's have a look at it now. That looks pretty good. Okay, that looks a lot more professional now, doesn't it? All right, so I think we're done. The only thing left now is to, actually a few more things. Those fillets, let's call those their outside fillets. Let's call these ones there the inside fillets. And I guess what would we call those? I don't know. Think of a name. Maybe I'll call them the key ring hole fillets. I didn't spell keyring right, did I? Okay, actually let's just call it let's call them the hole fillets, the fillets around the hole. Just give it some sort of meaningful name so you know what they are. Yep. All right, so I'm going to save that. Now, to 3D print it, I can't print an IPT file, but I can print an STL file. So what I need to do is I need to now file, save as. Oh, actually, let's not do that. I want to do file export into CAD format. And I'm going to choose the format that I want is an STL file, STL. And that's the file that a 3D printer knows how to use. Well, it's not a 3D printer, a slicer, which is the software that will prepare it for a 3D print. So, save there. And now I've exported it to an STL file. Okay, so we're done and we're ready to go and print our STL file. That's all. Hope this video was helpful.